it's time for the throw punch! What's up, fam of Liberty and everyone else that might be tuning in that's not part of the fam? Joining us tonight, we have a Marine veteran, Nathan Sage, and then also with us we have admin Matt. I don't know why our freaking tags are not showing up. And also joining us is admin X Squid.
Howdy.
So I'm going to let Nathan introduce himself because who knows Nathan better than Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, how do I start out? I am a Marine vet, but I'll start out with I'm a kid that grew up in poverty on the west side of Mason City. Didn't have a lot of options. Knew at an early age that you watching my family struggle with food stamps and high costs and not be able to make it. The opportunity for me to be who I am and go where I need to be was the military. But I'm a guy that joined the Marine Corps. I also served in the Army, served 3 tours in Iraq. I'm a working class guy from Mason City, Iowa. I live in Indianola now. I used to be the executive director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce, and I used to be in radio for a long time. So I do know how to talk, and that's why everybody always wonders how the hell I get away with cussing so much. But you know what to do, right? In the Marine Corps, we know how to do it. But I'm just a regular working class guy here to fight for people, run the United States Senate to give proper representation to Iowans. I think that's the quickest, easiest way I can do the intro for myself.
All right. So you started in the Army, and then you got out of the Army and were like, fuck this.
Part of the Marine Corps first, and then I went to the Army. So
I
did the Marine Corps.
To the dark side.
Yeah. So actually, I'll tell you the story. I actually went to a Marine Corps from 2003 when I was in high school to 2007. Did my 2 tours in Iraq in 2004 and 2006. Got out for a very short time. Was a mechanic up in Mason City, and then missed the military a lot. Actually called to get back in. The recruiter who answered the phone said, "Sorry, bud, we're not taking prior enlisted at that time," which deflated me. So I was like, "Well, I missed the military. I missed what I'm doing." So that's when I called the Army up, and they gave me a $3,500 sign-on bonus. I tell everybody they had to pay me to join. So gave me a $3,500 sign-on bonus. Then I joined the Army after that, and was in the Army from 2008 till about 2013.
Did they let you keep your pay grade, time and rate, all of that stuff?
Yep, all of that included. Yep.
Awesome. What about AIT? Did you have to reclass that way?
No, I did have to go to AIT. I actually went to Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, for my AIT, and it was like the easiest thing for me since I was a mechanic. When I was in the Marine Corps, going there, it was like I was almost teaching the classes. It was just they have some different trucks in the Army than the Marine Corps, but it was actually pretty easy time.
Outstanding. I know a couple of guys that had come over from the Marines, and they were like, "This is easy." I did not take it personally at all.
Yeah, I don't say it was easy. I mean, I met a lot of guys in the Army that were pretty big badasses too. But I like to say the Marine Corps is more of a single man's military, meaning like you can't have a family, you can't have kids in that time because you're deploying. Like when I deployed my first time, it was that I found out in August of 2004, and I was sitting in Al-Taqaddum in September of 2004. It's on a moment's notice, right? So I knew like that's not a family thing. And then going to the Army, they're more family oriented. So that's what I'd say is the major difference between them. And Marine Corps, you get do a lot more fun, badass things.
So you are running for Senate. Do you have the nomination, or you still have to go through the primary first?
I'm in a primary right now with 2 other guys.
Okay.
But I feel. Oh, sorry. I thought you said something. I feel very confident where we're at. I mean, if you would, I'm a no-name politician. I've never done this before. And if you would have told me a year ago I'd be sitting here talking to you, raised over $1.1 million, and have the volunteers we have and people fighting for us across the state, like, I would have probably laughed in your face and called you a liar. But here we are. You know, we did the 99 county tour. We're the only ones other than Chuck Grassley to do the 99 county tour. We did that 99 days from August 1st to November 6th. We talked to a lot of people. We've had a lot of conversations. I feel very confident where we're at the end of this year, and I feel like 2026 is going to be a big year for us. But it's about doing what I'm doing right now, getting my hairy, fat-toed ass in front of people and say, hey, this is Nathan Sage. This is what I represent. This is what I'm fighting for, and let people know more about me. So
yeah. What became the impetus that made you think, okay, now's the time, I'm going into politics, and I'm gonna do this whole thing?
So I love, first of all, I wanted to say, when you guys did your intro, I love your music right there. I'm a big metal fan. And Slipknot has a lyrics that the push that makes you move. So that's the way I always like to answer that, is like, what's the push that made me move? And the one that made me move, like, I was already pissed off and see the world for what it was and understand what we're going through is not the way it's supposed to be. But I think the thing that's really made me progressively get to the point where I boiled over and I'm doing what I'm doing, I can't believe I served this country just to watch women's rights being taken away by the overturning of Roe versus Wade. I have 2 daughters. For me, my 2 daughters live with my ex-wife in North Carolina right now to avoid this whole chaos of the campaign. My wife and me have never had a baby before. We got pregnant last year in March of 2024. First time she's ever had a pregnancy. And then at the end of April, she lost it at about 2:00 in the morning. It's been something that we've had to deal with. It's very hard to talk about. But I woke up to her at 2:00 in the morning, screaming, crying in blood. And it was very, very, very hard to get over, and still dealing with it, still talk about it, and move forward to the election of last year. I'm sitting on the couch, like all of us, deflated, watching what the hell happened. And my wife sitting next to me is bawling her eyes out, and she's crying. And I said, no, we've done this before. We've gotten through this idiot before. And she told me, she goes, well, now we'll never be able to try again. And I said, why? And she said, what if it happens again? Will I be a criminal? And started spewing out all thoughts and feelings and emotions coming out that I had never heard or never thought of. And for me, that was a huge eye-opening experience, because I sat there and I was like, if my own wife is sitting like this right next to me feeling this way, then there has to be millions of women across the country that feel the exact same way. In a country that is supposed to be about freedom, a country that is supposed to be about, giving people real opportunities, real chances to make it, it's supposed to be the richest country in the world, and we're all struggling. It's like this boiling up of anger kind of started to come out. And I think that is the push that made me move, is just watching my wife bawling her eyes out. And I feel like I was helpless and feeling like I couldn't do anything. So sometimes you get to the point where you're just like, you know what? Now all of us have taken the oath, right? And you feel like, you know what? Someone needs to stand up and fight for what we believe in. And it's not just talking, it's they need to actually do it. And if not me, who? If not now, when? So here I am. And I am not scared to say what needs to be said, so people know we're not going to keep doing this shit. We're going to change it, and we're going to break the system and make it work for working class people. So that's where we're at now. But that, I think, is the push that made me move, is that whole experience.
It's interesting how many times we hear basically that same thing, that it's a extension of a sense of duty.
Yeah.
That pushed a number of people we've had on here, especially veterans, to have to act, to have to get in there, to have to say no to this absolute trash show that's going on.
Yep.
Sorry, Tim, we'll cut you off there.
I wanted to clarify. I wanted to actually get Nathan on record with something, because we had a comment just now with some dummy who thought we're all right wingers. You're not right wing.
We all learned in the break room, you got to break things down Barney style. So if I need to break it down, I'll break it down.
It's the beards and the vet bro appearance is what it is. That's what it is. Some people are just dumb as shit.
So what is it about my appearance? I'm sorry. First of all, I always say I'm sorry that I'm not cuter. Sorry I gained a little weight, and sorry I have the beard here because if I didn't, I'd look 100 million times worse. And then I'd look like probably that GIF of JD Vance, and everybody doesn't want to see that.
It's just that terrible smile across the face.
I need that big fro like Nancy has in Stranger Things to go over, and I look like that.
Absolute perfection.
Halloween next year. There we go.
There you go. Yes.
So, a couple of weeks ago, we got your name and contact through Rachel Burns, who was running for a House seat, special election.
Yep.
And she didn't make it, but she was pretty close, and got a lot more of the vote than was expected. So Rachel kind of set all this up, and Rachel wanted us to ask you about universal health care.
I figured she would.
She specifically said that you're afraid to say the words.
No, I'm not afraid to say universal health care at all. I'm not afraid to say Medicare for all at all. Here's how I feel. Am I a supporter of universal health care? Am I a supporter of Medicare for all? Yes. Do I believe that if it comes to it and we can vote for it and I can vote yes for it? Yeah, hell yes, I will vote for it. The thing is, the way I look at the world, though, it seems like we have a stretch to get there. So my thought process leading up to that is, okay, what can we do to make it affordable now? What can we do in the meantime to make that? And that's why I talk a lot about these pharmaceutical benefit managers that are a $518 billion industry leeching off our system. And I look at them as the middleman between government and drug companies that are causing a lot of the high prices. And so what we're seeing in Iowa is with elderly population is not the ability to afford drugs is not there. We need to be able to make it and if it's a $518 billion industry leeching off the system, let's get the leeches out of the system and make it more affordable. Let's work on things we can work on now. But if I can get there and vote on it, yes, that's the way I look at it.
It's definitely true. Any step in the ladder, so to speak, between the patient and the healthcare provider is going to come with some degree of leeching because they're taking a percentage. They're making money to pay their employees, to enrich themselves.
You want to know how I really feel?
That's how it works.
Here's how I really feel. I think insurance company. I'm allowed to cuss, right?
Have you met us?
I didn't think insurance.
This guy's a fucking Marine asking us.
There you go. I think you know how many times I've been talked to about cussing since I've started this. I like to say this: insurance companies, in my opinion, are the largest fucking scam this country's ever seen, and that means housing, that means healthcare, that means car, that's all of it. Like it's all a way to continue to funnel money to the top, continue to watch people make money off of the needs of us, and I'm fuck that. Like that's how I feel. So I am not going to be here to help out the insurance companies.
Well, they sure don't need our help,
right?
Because they have certainly done well for themselves. That is for damn sure.
You know, the thing I always hear about is people hear single payer, automatically assume it has to be a state-run insurance policy. And I think I personally would disagree. As long as the insurance actually is there when you need it, it doesn't really matter to me who's giving me the insurance as long as it's working. And there's a lot of ways to get there.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too. I think that's the thing is like, it doesn't seem like whenever we've needed insurance, it hasn't been there. It seems like they're more there to deny us than actually help us. And it seems like, I mean, and it all boils back down to the way I look at the world is it boils back down to if I have money, they're going to help me. If I don't have money, they don't care. Like that's what I've been taught my whole life. And, you know, and that's what's the problem is in our society and in our world when now I saw it go up. It was 60% of our population living paycheck to paycheck. Now it's, I believe, almost 70% of our population living paycheck to paycheck. Clearly, there is no such thing as a hoax affordability. Affordability is an issue across the board. That's why you saw the elections results that we saw this past November, people voting, you know, to try to figure who is going to represent them in regards to affordability. And to me, what better than somebody who's in working class like myself, who still pays rent to this day, who is trying to figure out how to pay for my daughter to go to college, trying to figure out how to make ends meet in this world to talk about those issues, than somebody who maybe didn't have those issues or hasn't had those problems, doesn't know what it's like to have to go 2 weeks on $40 worth of groceries to be able to make it. So I think that's where I stand out a little bit more. I think that's where we've got a little bit more attention, because people know that I got a little bit of a street cred, and I can speak on things that a lot of people can't talk about because I'm going through them still.
We had a comment on one of our articles or our memes, I forget which, earlier this morning, where someone said, "Worst effects," and apologies, Fam of Liberty. I forgot who posted it, so I'll get you back with credit later. It said, "Are you even American if you haven't had to fight with the insurance industry over some kind of claim or something?" And I'm just reading like, yeah, pretty much.
What's scary for me is I am. This isn't health insurance. This is car insurance. I am back December, last Saturday, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before that. We knocked doors in West Des Moines for Renee Hardman for her campaign. It was about 4 inches of snow, winter weather advisory, and one of my staffers, hopefully she's not watching right now, rear-ended me on a cul-de-sac. So now I have to get my truck fixed here in Indianola at the shop, and hopefully I don't have to have that insurance battle that we're all used to, and I'm probably going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I know for me, the last one was like a blood work for my physical, and it came back and they're like, yeah, that's $3,200. Just like, wow. What?
Yeah.
Well,
here we are.
Like, no, we're not paying that.
Well, here we are watching the ACA. We're watching the ACA tax credits expire right now, and we're watching. Here January comes around, and that's the thing that I get very fucking pissed off about, is these people in DC, these leadership, these Chuck Schumers of the world, all these people that seem to bend the knee to this orange idiot instead of standing up for their people they're supposed to represent. And that shit drives me nuts. Another huge push to make me do this is that, like, we've been watching this for 20, 30 years of my life, watching people fake the funk, have their slick back hair, say the right things, get elected, go there, and then don't work for their people they're supposed to represent. And here we are. Yes, and here we are in this moment now where we're all going to try to figure out how to pay for our health insurance. We're not going to be able to do it. We're not going to be able to afford it, so we're not going to have it. Then you're going to see all our ERs being overran with the amount of people trying to go when they have to go get seen. In a situation also where we had the big bullcrap bill happen, where we're possibly going to see, rural hospitals go away. So not only are we going to see rural hospitals go and the influx of ER, but now it's like people are going to have to drive 3 hours to be able to go see the doctor, because in the long run, it's because these politicians that are bought and paid for by billionaires and corporations not working for us, not representing us. And that's, for me, is the most frustrating thing. And I think that's where I'm sitting here going like, hey, fuck them. Let's get working class representation. If Washington, D.C. is made up of 98% generational wealth and only 2% come from the working class, clearly we need to flip it. Clearly we need to make it work for working class people.
Very true. Very true. And we don't just have the healthcare piece going through. We're looking at a spike in energy costs right in the middle of winter. Yeah. I know mine right now is on pace to go up 15 times what I would normally pay. I can't imagine I'm the only one. You look at grocery prices. You look at the excuse me. You look at prices for just about anything, thanks to the tariffs and inflation right now. It's just, how's any family supposed to make ends meet?
Yeah, you mentioned energy costs right there. We had a statistic the other day from Mid-American Energy. They came out and said that prices are going to rise by about 13%, and that there's about I believe it's about 175,000, maybe close to 200,000 people across Iowa who are already late on their energy bills because they are having a tough time affording them. And here we are now. That's why I came out recently with this moratorium for data centers, because what we're seeing is, if we see that come to Iowa, we're going to see our energy costs skyrocket. We already have the worst water, top 1% for the worst water in this country. We're going to have more issues with the water quality here in the state. And it's all because billionaires and corporations look at us as a flyover state, and instead of the people that we are and the families that we are and the rural communities we are, they don't look at us as people. They look at us just another piece of land that they can put a data center and no one's going to say anything.
Yep. Yep. We're seeing I think we're a little further down on the road here in Pennsylvania, and we're already starting to see the problems from the surging energy costs to all kinds of issues with water and water access that's happening right now, which, in fairness, is not just the data center on the water end. We've got a couple other issues here about that, but it's not helping.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially in Iowa, the thought of it, where we're already in the top 1% for the worst water and causing more problems with that, skyrocketing costs for energy already, just adding to that doesn't make sense right now.
Mm-hmm. They think what that does for industries in Iowa. You think about what that does for agriculture. You think about the problems it's going to cause for working folks who just want to, maintain a small business, or if they're a farmer, or it's going to be a nightmare across the board for so many Americans. So that's
what I've talked about. So we did this 99 county tour. What I've talked about a lot, and this is just my opinion of the way I look at the world, the way I look at Iowa. I personally believe we're in a continuous attack on rural communities in rural America. I mean, this big bullcrap bill coming out, and you're going to strip Medicaid, and then you're going to, with that, closing down of rural hospitals and the issues with that. Then you're going to add to it what we're going through with tariffs, and I think it's the most amount of bankruptcies when it comes to farms that we've seen. So you're ripping away rural communities and rural hospitals. You're ripping away farms, and it seems like also you can buy it up for big ag or for data centers and continue to watch these rural communities dissolve to the major metropolitan areas because it's all bought up and paid for by billionaires and corporations. That's the way it looks like from me looking at it. Long term, that's the way it is. And I'm just, it all goes back to billionaires and corporations running this world, and all of us trying to figure out where our piece is and how we can just have a family, how we can make ends meet. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of watching the average worker make 350 times less than the CEOs of those corporations. So I'm here to fight for working people.
Absolutely. Oh, I did get another question to ask you from the fam out there earlier this evening. I was asked, now that Trump has signed an executive order to move marijuana off of Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, would you, as a senator, be supportive of codifying this, and perhaps even opening up more access to it, whether it be for research and medical use, for it be legalized recreational use, etc.?
Absolutely, 110%. The way I look at this, like I lost both my parents to cancer, my dad at 54 years old, my mom at 67 years old. I have always been I am tired, and I don't know how you guys feel. I'm tired of treating cancer. I'd like to prevent cancer from even happening and even going. So we put a lot of money into treating it. I'd like to put more money into preventing it. And if we can come up with ways that are not getting us addicted to narcotics, or not doing, the path that we've been seeing, changing it up, seeing what marijuana, cannabis allows us to do. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Especially we're looking at a lot of research possibilities in the field for treating ailments such as PTSD and pain management. So right up the alley you're talking about there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a society, we are in the wrong if we're not trying to figure out the ways to help and prevent the issues that we're seeing across the board, because here's the deal, and I'll be blunt as hell, when it comes to the use of marijuana and the use of dog barking. When it comes to that issue, we're okay with the alcohol, we're okay with the bars, we're okay but we're not okay with the other side of things when it comes to marijuana. And mainly, I don't know, call me crazy, it's got to find a way to make money off it. And once it is, then it will be legal. That's what it seems like. And we're seeing that. And that's why we're seeing it open up more and more. I am for whatever the hell is going to help our people deal with the issues they're having, deal with, get the treatment they need. And if we can look at cannabis and marijuana in a different light and learn more about it, let's do it.
Apologies for that. We had a squirrel enter the airspace here unannounced, and of course a fur missile was launched to intercept and deal with it immediately. He has returned with no squirrel, but he seems vindicated. So we'll chalk that up. Again, apologies for the background noise, folks. And thank you for the answer there on that.
Yeah, no problem. You're an Eagles fan, by the way?
Yes, sir.
So how do you feel about Cooper DeJean?
I think he is an absolute amazing star.
I got to call one of his games in high school.
Did you really?
So I used to call the PCM Mustangs football, basketball, all that. And in 2018, they won the state championship. In 2019, they went up and played Cooper up in OABCIG in Ida Grove. And it was like 20 degrees out. It was one of the coldest nights I can remember. But I came away from that saying that kid was the best athlete I had ever seen with my own two eyes. The fastest kid, the best arm, everything. He was just like when you say man amongst boys, that's exactly what it was.
I believe it. I think for me, seeing him last season, his rookie year, there was an open field play where Derrick Henry had a quick swing pass in the open field, and this guy, half that man's size, absolutely lifts him and plants him into the ground like he's
so no fear right there. Yep.
I was like, all right, this guy can play.
Yep.
Absolutely love to see it.
So what other things did my friend Rachel throw me under the bus with, huh?
It was literally just that one thing.
Rachel's been great. She's come to our events. She has our T-shirts on. She's been amazing. It was disappointing, obviously, the results, but I know work's got to do, and she is the person to do the work. And we went up and knocked doors for her as well. I'm extremely proud of her, where she's at, what she's been able to do up there. And, the work's obviously, like I said, not done. And we're going to keep doing what we can to make sure she ends up getting in that seat.
Well, we're talking healthcare stuff. And before we pivot off to anything else, I do like to talk about my Eagles. Where are you on prescription drug pricing and what the Senate can do for that?
That's one thing I already talked about was the pharmaceutical benefit managers. I think that is getting the middleman out between government and drug companies. I think that is the solution to be able to solve a lot of the problems we're having with the high prices. And I think it'd start there, especially like I said earlier, it's a 518. I was wrong for so long. I was like, it's like a $38 billion industry. It's a $518 billion industry, the last figure I saw. So clearly we can save some money there. Clearly we need the government in there and get these middlemen out to save that money and make our prescription drugs. So that's where I'd start. Love you too, Rachel. I see your comment on there.
Not to mention that, sorry, lost my train of thought there. Not to mention that when you talk about setting a price and managing it with where the U.S. government negotiates for our pricing, it tends to create a overall weight on the industry as far as what the acceptable price is towards the private healthcare providers as well, which has an industry effect on it. So personally, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think Medicaid should also be able to negotiate for more drug prices as well. I mean, anything we can do to make sure that our prescription drugs, we got to think out the box around realm of possibility and not trust in insurance companies to get us there.
Yeah.
Here's a shitty question.
No, go ahead, Squid.
Can I? All right. Shitty question for you, but I always hear this come out of the pharmaceutical industry. How are they expected to pay for their research and development costs if we're fixing prices and so on?
That seems like a them problem. That seems it seems like maybe your CEOs shouldn't make 350 times more than the average worker. And maybe you shouldn't have a inflated workers where all their job is to rip money away from people. Maybe that's the problem. Okay. There's other ways you can save that money instead of making it on the consumer, the people that need it. So how about you look in the mirror a little bit is what I'd say to that.
Badass. I like that.
Yeah.
I would like to point out for Rachel, since she missed you getting thrown into the proverbial bus, that you can go back and watch the live stream. I don't know if you can rewind it whilst it's in progress, but you can wait till the end of the broadcast and just kind of move the slider back. And that was probably around the 25-minute mark, maybe the 20-minute mark. I don't know, somewhere in there.
It's hard to tell. It's all blur at this point. It's just
yeah.
Isn't life?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. That's my life, I feel like, especially over this past year. It's been crazy, but fun.
So speaking of all the money that's out there and everything that's honestly what's wrong with our politics, what's your platform say about what you would do as far as trying to get money out of politics, try to reform elections, etc.? Where are you going next? I know we've got a lot of proposals out here.
Man, that's one thing that we talk a lot about. You know, one thing that I've been more proud about than anything is doing our 99 county tour is the amount of people in the audience because I always end every talk I say is like, if I'm lucky enough to be your next senator, what are the things that you want me to focus on? It shouldn't be me saying, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. It should be, what are the things that we're hearing? That's how you do proper representation. And, you know, we hear education, we hear, you know, Medicaid, we hear all these issues. But the one that I always get more proud about is the people that say, overturn Citizens United, right? Because they understand what that has done and the problem that it is. Now, the question is how do we get there? How do we get to a point? You know, is it a constitutional amendment? Is it packing the courts? What is the best option to get to that point? You know, I'm kind of on the fence as far as like, you know, I don't necessarily want to see us continue to pack the courts the way we had. That's why I am in the belief of term limits, and I believe that we shouldn't have a lifetime position at all. So I think if we had term limits, we'd be able to offer opportunity for that to change. But I think at the end of the day, we have to find a way to either have a constitutional amendment or pack to be able to get that overturned, because that has been one of the two worst Supreme Court decisions ever. First one was obviously that one. Second one was saying Trump had immunity while he's in office. Put those two together, and here we are watching the wild, wild west literally unravel. So for me, I'm going to do what I can to, find the path to do that. I'm not, like I said, not necessarily on the path of stacking the court, but that's why I like the term limit, so we can have that changeover in the court to be able to make sure we can get that done.
And unless I'm mistaken, I believe there is a bill moving in the House, which probably is not going to get it brought up as low as Johnson's there, to put term limits on the Supreme Court. And it sounds like you'd be a yes vote on that if we were to make it to the Senate.
I am for term limits in Congress, Senate, across the board when it comes to Supreme Court as well. I just don't feel like, for example, Chuck Schumer, the only other person in the state that's done the 99 county town. Now, Rob Sand did 100 town halls, but the other people have been myself and good old Chuck Grassley, who's in his 90s, and he's still kicking it, and he is thinking about going for re-election. And if he does, he'd be like 101 by the time he's out of there. To me, what is that 101-year-old or 90, whatever? How are they relating to these people that are 22, 23 years old, trying to raise their family, trying to make it in this world? There's a huge disconnect of 80 years there. And so to me, it's like we have to be able to actually represent the people we're supposed to represent them, to give the best chance for them to have success and make it in this world. And personally, I don't think that's what we're seeing when we allow these senators to stay in power, or these congressmen to stay in power longer than they should.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I assume then you're probably on board with a number of the other reforms they're proposing, like the ban on people in Congress trading stocks. And
yep, absolutely. We got to ban stock trading. We got to get these dark money lobbyists, these billionaire-led lobbyists out of Washington, D.C., all of the dark money, all of the banning of stock trading, all of that, the huge number of money in our politics, all of that out, because, again, that's why Chuck Grassley's staying. That's why they're staying there, because they are getting money hand over fist to make sure that they're representing the billionaires and corporations as opposed to all of us. And the one thing I continue to always talk about, it's always on all of our ads, is Washington, D.C. is made up of 98% generational wealth and only 2% come from the working class. Like, we have to change it to get it back to we the people. And the way I like to say it, and I told my Trump-loving Republican father-in-law the same thing, this is not about, to me, it's not about Republicans, independents, or Democrats. This is about we the people taking power back. We the working class having proper representation in Washington, D.C. again. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I truly feel like I am the epitome in Iowa of what the Democratic Party has kind of lost. People like myself that are a veteran or are working class or feel like nobody's willing to fight for them. And, I think we need people to actually fight for us. And I think the days of this facade, fake bullshit that we've had from our politicians is over, because we are done with it. And what have we gotten? other than closer and closer to our democracy falling, because we have not voted in our best interest and we have not had the representation to change what's going on.
Absolutely. Well said. I was actually going to ask you later what your pitch would be to the general appeal, not as a Democrat or Republican, et cetera, but what was it? And I think I just heard it though. So
well, that's the deal is honestly, I was an independent for a long time. A long time, and they said, "Why are you a Democrat?" Then the reason I'm a Democrat now is it seems like first you got to pick a side to play the game, right? Second off, you have Republicans where it seems like they're literally ripping everything away that we need to survive, and Democrats like they want to help people. From what I've seen here in Iowa and the people that I've met, I've been in awe about the amount of people that are literally knocking doors or getting out there and protesting and fighting because they want to help people. I always look back at my friends up in North Iowa, the North Iowa Fight Back girls up there. I mean, every Sunday they're out there protesting everything. They are representing people. They're trying to do what they can to fight for people. And that's what it takes is us not sitting on the sidelines anymore, throwing snowballs from the cheap seats like my drill instructor, Gunnery Sergeant Fraser, used to say all the time. Sometimes you got to grab the big purple straw of life and suck it the fuck up and go out there and fight for people. my senior drill instructor told me that as well. So grab the big purple straw of life and suck it the fuck up.
There's who was Tim, the representative we had on, who was also running in Iowa? Was it last week before? Tim,
I'm sorry, I missed something.
No worries. We had a representative who was running in, I believe that was a House election in Iowa, and she had said something about when she was door knocking that. You should often get people going, "Oh, you're not my party." You know, I want to hear it kind of thing. She said, "Well, wait. If I do get elected, what can I do to help represent you?"
Mm-hmm.
And that really struck me. That stuck with me. I was named in for whatever reason. It might have been Rachel, but it was such a smart way to open the door to that dialogue, to get to, get to that discussion, to really try to connect with people, less as Team Red versus Team Blue. But look, if I win this, I still want to represent all the people here.
Yeah,
I think that's really the tact that we need to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the way I look at this world, and I know this has been said by other politicians and other people out there, but the way I've looked at this, especially since I've gotten in this race and where we are, this is literally our democracy. What we're seeing is a battle between top and bottom. And the top is using everything they can to divide the bottom, anything they can to make sure that we hate each other, that we're angry with each other, that we're upset with each other, that we're blaming each other for whatever reason they can come up with to make sure that we are at each other's throat. That's what they're going to keep doing because they don't want us to look at who has their thumb on the scale at the top. And I've said every day that I think we need to stop pointing down and saying, "Oh, it's because they're brown, it's because they're LGBTQ, it's because they're women, it's because of this." That's the reason you're going through what you're going through, when it's really these assholes who have their thumb on the scale, and we should be pointing the finger back at them and saying we're not going to keep doing this anymore. And that's what I think scares them. That's why we see the push of like, this is what we need, is this push of their belief is this push of dividing us. What I tell everybody, put the damn phone down, turn your TV off, go outside, touch grass, go talk to your neighbor, go talk to your friends. And the thing that I always tell everybody is, don't talk about politics. Talk about sports, talk about your dog, talk about your kids. Then when you talk about life, it will get to the point where you see how politics is affecting you. So when you say something along the lines, "Yeah, my dad's old, he's trying to figure out, we're going to put him in a nursing home," comments usually start going, "Well, in nursing homes, they're going to take his money, or they don't have enough staffing, or whatever." And then you start to get in those conversations of why is that? I think that is the best way to bring a lot of people back and get rid of the division, is to have conversations every day instead of saying, "Well, you said this and you said that," because that's what they want us to do.
Well, you're dead on the head right there. So while we're driving through the politics and the platform and where you stand on the issues, I'll just keep.
I saw one pop up for a Social Security reform.
I did see that. So what do you think on that?
Take the cap off it and let's fund it properly. And let's have these rich assholes not pay for 11 seconds out of the year, but pay their fair share. Same way I look at taxes. I'm not sitting there going like, we need to tax the rich. What we need to do is they need to pay their fair share, and we need to close all these loopholes that they're using to not pay their fair share. So I think that's the way I look at it. If I'm sitting here every year doing my taxes and having to pay something in or not, whatever, how is Elon Musk or any of these assholes any different? They need to pay their fair share, and if they did, we wouldn't have a lot of the problems we have in this country.
For those who are watching who may not be familiar with it, Social Security contributions come out of our paychecks, but there's a cap on how much can come out in any given year. So once you hit that, whether that be 11 months in, whether that be 6 months in, 11 seconds in for the super wealthy, they don't pay any more of it. Removing that cap would help fund Social Security almost indefinitely at this point. And it's kind of a weird, stupid rule that we have in place that Congress has failed time and again to remove. Really glad to hear you supporting that, by the way.
Well, it's frustrating because it's like, I think I watched a video the other day where it was like, I want to say the guy was 88 years old. He lost his wife, and he was still working at Walmart trying to make ends meet, trying to pay for his life. And someone who's that old, who's been through life and has watched their loved one pass away, they should be enjoying their life. They should be enjoying what's left of their life. And most of us right now, the idea of retiring is a dream. And that's why I'm laughing about it. Like it's not there. And it's something of concern for so many people. And I think we take away the damn concern by taking off the cap and make sure we, who have been working, who have made these billionaires the billionaires they are, all we're asking for is our retirement, our opportunity to enjoy our life, not in a multi-million mansion, just to be able to afford it. That's all we're asking.
Yeah. I just pulled that figure up for next year. It's 184,500. That's the cap for 2026.
Didn't it say that Elon Musk didn't it say he's above like $700 billion net worth or something right now?
Yeah.
Can't afford
something like that.
Aiming to hit $1 trillion.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing? We're not
fighting eating the right people.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's been interesting since we've started this tour, since we started our 99 County tour and started this campaign. The thing that I get more than anything besides, okay, so I got back up. I get told every time I go anywhere by two different people. One, stop cussing, it's going to be off-putting. And then 30 seconds later, it's another old person saying, cuss more, be angrier, we need it. So I feel like I'm walking that fine line. But the major one that I get every time, and you guys probably figured this out, most people do, is that you're real. You're a real person. You're real. And it's like, I don't know how to be anywhere else. I grew up in a trailer park in Mason City. I watched my dad pass away young of cancer. Watched my mom pass away at 67 of cancer. I watched them do all they could to support my family to make it in this world. I did everything I did in my life was another way for me to be able to support myself and my family. That's what this challenge in life has been for me this whole time, is just how to fucking make it. And so I'm going to speak truth to power. I'm going to talk. I'm done living in a world where we're fucking fake and we're I know the economic struggles, or I know what it's. No, you fucking don't. You don't know what it's like to put a space heater underneath your trailer to be able to heat the pipes down below so they don't freeze during the wintertime. You don't know what that's like. You don't know what it's like to boil water on your stove when you're 14 years old because you can't afford to get the water heater fixed. So you're taking baths with water boiled off the stove. You don't know what that's like. And I think it's about damn time we got real representation, people to know what people are actually going through to fight for us and stand up for us and speak on the issues, instead of this bullshit of like these, I call it cosplay. I say the wolf in sheep clothing. Like, we got to get this shit out of here and start electing real working class people. And I'm very proud because I'm one, but there's multiple across the country, working class candidates, veterans, standing up, doing what they can to start fighting for us because they are tired of watching this world burn. That's the easiest way I can say it. But that's what I get told all the time. You're real, Nathan.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so hard to think about the sheer number of people that we know and that we encounter, that it's like the train's pulling away from the station. It just keeps getting further and further down. And some people could run a little faster maybe, but train's going to win that race in the end, no matter how fast you are.
Yeah, but there's nothing falling back to us.
Yeah, yeah. It's all of us just left behind.
Absolutely.
It's great to hear you speak to that. It really is.
All continue. Like everything I talk about all boils back down to money in politics, not proper representation. Like that is the core of the issues that we're having is like, for instance, for me in this race, I'm in a primary. I know the other two guys in this race talk about not taking corporate back money. That didn't stop them as state legislators, right? Mm. But also, we also have people that are backed behind closed doors by DC insiders, the SEC, and doing all they can to make sure they have their thumb on the scale. Like, to me, that's the problem that we have. I like to look at Chuck Schumer and the DSCC, and the issues they have had is picking candidates like the Cleveland Browns, right? They pick candidates like the Cleveland Browns pick quarterbacks in the draft. They start out with a whole bunch of hype, fail miserably, and the team continues to lose. Yep. We can't lose anymore. We need people to actually represent us.
It's very true. Very true. God. Oh, Cleveland Browns. That's a good one.
I just
sorry, Browns fans, if there are any.
I just acquired the CCON episode, so I just posted it to social media, just letting you guys know.
As a reminder to everyone that there is a site for donation for Nathan's campaign. We have it up on our screen. And please, if you can, support a man trying to bring some truth to power out there.
Yeah, what I say to that every time, if you grew up in working class, you know asking for money is not something you do. Like, we work for it. You mow a lawn, you fix a buddy's car, you do what you can. So for me, this whole campaign of what you didn't see before I got on this was sitting on this phone for 8 hours, calling, asking people for money. And it is degrading and it's hard and nobody likes to do it. But the only way that we can compete because of Citizens United is to do that, is to beg people to donate money. The most someone can give me is $3,500 in the primary, $3,500 in the general election. But that's what we need to be able to win and actually get representation. And that's why I'm very proud we've raised over $1.1 million since I've started. Our average donation is $24, which shows that we have an army of people donating to us that don't have a lot of money, but they know that I am here to represent them.
And hopefully we'll get some more in tonight for you.
There we go.
So, speaking of issues and where you stand on things, we've heard about you from where you are in the healthcare, on the industry, for insurance in general, and a bunch of other key stuff that we had for you here tonight. We haven't talked much about where you are with education.
Yeah. I think education, at the end of the day, it's a travesty with what we're seeing, right? I think it's insane that we're watching the Department of Education be ripped away, because why? At the end of the day, they want to privatize everything so they can continue to make money off of everything. That's their whole scheme. That's their whole idea. Everything we're seeing in Iowa with our private schools. Any way that they can figure out a way to demonize and destroy our public schools so they don't have to fund anything and they can make money off of something they were giving money to, that's what they want. And to me, I think it's insane. I think, the education that we have in our country for the longest time has been set up to make obedient, good workers. We have a schedule. We're hearing the whistle. That's all programmed to make sure that we are good workers. What I want in this world, and I think the biggest problem we have across our country, especially when you look at MEGA and all that, is free thinkers, critical thinkers. We want people to think and learn and be willing to learn and be willing to be educated. And so for me, I am a guy that is not pushing for college. I'm not saying college is bad. I think college is very good. I think college is good for a lot of people. But I think at the end of the day, one thing I wish I had more than anything growing up was the idea that, like, I didn't know that there were so many apprenticeship programs or trade schools out there, other opportunities out there. And one thing I like to talk about, and I had a volunteer talk to me about this as well, is like putting a blueprint out for high school kids to see where you can go from point A to point B that doesn't require a high school education, that gets you that well-paying, good job because they're out there. I mean, welders make good money. There's good opportunities out there. Unions, there's opportunities to be there, and that's what I want to focus on, is giving kids a path that fits them. Because I knew growing up, that's why I didn't try hard. I knew that I wasn't going to. I couldn't afford a college, even in Mason City, where there's a community college. So for me, it was like, thank God that recruiter showed up wearing his dress blues and gave me the opportunity to join the military. And then I got my opportunity to go to college by getting my GI Bill. But so for so many people, they follow the military path because that's the only opportunity they think is in front of them. And I think that's incredibly wrong. I want to put more money into our public schools and make sure that we are giving kids a path out of high school to have a successful opportunity. Another thing I'd like to look at in education as well, that can help also with the childcare crisis that we're having in this country, where it's crazy affordable, is make sure that we have universal 4-year-old Head Start across the country for everybody, because then you take away that year that would be spent in daycare, and you're getting kids educated earlier. And that, to me, getting kids started sooner is there. We've seen it. They're better when it comes to graduating. They're better when they're older anyway, because they started so young. So to me, putting education, the proper amount of money into our education, proper money into our public schools, public dollars for public schools, is what we should be doing, instead of ripping them away and trying to, for a lack of a better term, make us all dumber, because that's what they want. They want good, obedient workers that shut up and are stupid.
Not to mention, you've not only solved the part of the healthcare, part of the childcare cost, you're also enabling those parents, instead of being at home for those years, to be able to have either a part-time job or full-time job, to be able to contribute to their household in that salary space. And that's one thing that we did in Knoxville, and the state started this and we kind of ran with it, is these child care solution fund, where we had corporations and companies, businesses paying in to a pot, and that pot we would give wage bonuses and opportunity and wage enhancements for the local childcare facility in there. So then you're taking away that cost, because you're able to pay workers higher wages, and then you're also taking away the cost from the parent, because then it doesn't cost as much, right? But at the same time, by doing this, it's almost like, hey, if you're coming to our community is taking care of the issue that we have. We know how important it is for you to be our good worker. So we want you to be a good worker, and we don't want you to worry about childcare. I wish so many more companies, cities, communities would start doing that, or thinking ways to do that, because I think that is the biggest problem we have in a two-parent family home, is one has to stay with the kids and the other is working as much as they possibly can. And I think that's why the big struggles. That's why the average age of the first-time home buyer is 39 years old. Like, it's just, we're not getting there, because we're spending more money on things that we should not have to be necessarily spending our money on so much. I have a coworker right now where he and his wife basically have to split the time with, initially she had her maternity leave. He was fortunate enough to work for a company where I'm at, where he also could take the maternity leave, so they could split that piece of it. But even then, they're still juggling, kind of who's the primary for different things. She can't quite go to full work time, because there is time for the kid and everything. And between the cost of childcare and the lost earned income for them, that they're renting, even though they had planned to be in a house by now. It's tough.
We've also seen,
these are good, good salaries, good middle class salaries, but it's ended up not being enough.
Well, we've seen, when we did this 99 county tour, people come up to me and go, Nathan, I didn't take a promotion at my job because I knew if I took that promotion, that meant our food stamps, we'd be cut off from our food stamps, which is $700 to be able to pay for our families and be able to. And so now I'm getting a $10 pay raise and I'm losing out on $700 worth of food. It doesn't make sense, right? So I think there's a lot of reform in there and costs across the board. I think that's another thing that we're seeing, not just childcare, but in general, is that workers going, yeah, I would love to take a promotion. I'd love to get paid more. But when they do, they lose. It's such a big difference in what they're losing from what they're gaining, that you're seeing people go, well, I don't want to take that promotion. Keep me where I'm at. So make sure, because at the end of the day, it's about food. It's about making sure they have enough food to eat. And in Iowa, we have 385,000 people that are food insecure. And we went to the food banks and we said, hey, where's the magic solution to this? Where do we stop? Where we put you out of business? And they go, Give people a livable wage. How about we start there? If they have a livable wage, they can afford food, and we wouldn't be on the problem we're having.
So let's talk livable wage. Where do you see yourself on that when that comes up in the Senate?
I am a huge advocate for raising the federal minimum wage. I'd love to see it over $20. I believe probably $20 to $22. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I think in general, raising the federal minimum wage is something that has been sorely needed for a long time. We're already seeing like fast food places and other stores already raising their pay up to $14, $15 an hour.
Yep.
We've already been seeing that. The fact that it's at $7.25 is a travesty. And everybody goes, okay, well, if you do that, it's still going to be hard for people to be able to afford things because people are going to jack up prices. And that goes back to these people that make 350 times more than the average worker. The thought of prices going up is just because they are greedy, right? And we can't necessarily rely on that, but we can do some legislative things to make sure they're paying their fair share, make sure that, our corporate tax rate isn't at 15%. Maybe it's back up higher to where we can actually get the right amount of wages, right costs, and the right programs taken care of. But then also bringing costs down. And if we talk about the cost of pharmaceutical benefit managers, and we talk about the healthcare costs, and we talk about daycare costs, bringing those costs down, raising the minimum. To me, that is what needs to be done. Besides getting big money out of politics and getting proper representation, number two is we need real reform there with lowering costs and raising wages.
It doesn't seem sustainable, in my opinion. If people are trying to make a living paying for everything on credit, this is capitalism without capital. It's not sustainable. And if people had the cash in hand, the people top to bottom would have more as well. Then,
yeah, absolutely.
The way I see it.
Yeah, I think that's. Let's just be blunt. That's how I am. Yeah. I just believe we need to be in a world where people are paid what they're worth, have a livable wage, have housing they can afford, have healthcare they can actually afford, and have opportunities in front of them. Why? Is it crazy to think because this is America and we're the richest country in the world and we believe in supporting ourselves and tying yourself up tying your bootstraps up and going to work that you can be somewhere? That is the idea, but has that happened? And have we gotten away from that? Hell yeah, where you're tying your boots up and you ain't paying for shit anymore. Yep. And so we have to bring costs down. We have to bring wages up. That's why I also like to say I'm a very big advocate. And I like to say I'm the poster child for the PRO Act. We need to pass the PRO Act to strengthen unions, strengthen our workers, strengthen our wages, and actually give unions opportunity to fight for. Unions are the ones that gave us the 40-hour work week. They're the ones that gave us the 8-hour work day. They're the ones that have been fighting in the trenches. And so let's work together as workers and working class and unions and start fighting for livable wages, start fighting for a livable life in the richest country in the world, instead of saying, well, this is the way it's supposed to be. You just have to work harder. Tell that to my dad that worked double shifts all his life just trying to support us. Like, you can't do it anymore. We have to we have to break the system and make it work for working class people.
Not to mention that when you uplift those incomes, you're talking about money that is being poured directly into their local economy.
Absolutely.
All the money gets spent. Everybody benefits.
Absolutely. And that's the thing also why I'm a huge advocate as far as like strengthening our small to mid-sized farms, because I know that in Iowa, you strengthen your small to mid-sized farm, give them real opportunity. Those rural communities thrive in that time. Those local businesses thrive. Those local hospitals all thrive because they have strength coming in from those farms that are supporting all the things that are going on in those communities and continuing to put more money in those communities. That's why in Iowa, like you mentioned cannabis earlier, that's why in Iowa, I'm a big advocate for diversifying what we're seeing across the board. In Iowa, we've had farmers come up to me and say, Nathan, I'd love to be able to grow carrots. I'd love to be able to grow hemp. Love to be able to have these different opportunities, because those bring more revenue streams into those mid and small size farms that depend on them to be able to keep going. So giving them the strength they need to support themselves and support the rural communities is something that I'm a huge advocate for. Because I'm not going to sit here and watch Big Ag continue to push these mid-sized small farmers out of the way so they have more land to live on. We need to, and the way we get there, everybody's like, how do we do it? How about we start with passing a damn farm bill that hasn't been passed since 2018? A real farm bill to get things done for our farmers.
Pardon me. Going to pivot just quick here to foreign policy and the international situation we find ourselves in. as a potential member of Congress, there's a lot of oversight that's going to fall on your shoulders, especially when it comes to what's going on internationally. I wonder if you get your thoughts on where we are with both Ukraine, Venezuela, China, and Iran.
I first of all say it like this: someone who's gone to Iraq 3 times. I don't know about you gentlemen, but I'm done with war. I am done with watching innocents die. I'm done with watching, women and children starve, die. I'm done watching that. I'm done watching in a world where that's acceptable. And what I think in the long run, when I look at different situations, they're all different. But I think as an administration, as a country, as the United States, we're the superpower. We're the big brother. We need to be putting more pressure on those administrations, especially the ones that we call allies, to make sure that they are enforcing either the ceasefire that we want them to enforce, doing the proper, making it where we're watching the aid go through, that the aid is actually getting to the people, because I've seen reports recently where it's supposed to be trucks and it's down to like 450 or whatever. But I think as a country, we need to make sure that we have a play in that by putting pressure on those administrations to make sure that we're actually getting things done. I think in Ukraine, it's insane that we're watching. I think it's utterly insane that we are sitting here negotiating when Russia invaded Ukraine and we all watched it. Like, that's just my take on it. I think at the end of the day,
they're losing.
Ukraine in 1994 gave up all their nuclear warheads to make sure that we would be their allies and keep protecting them. That was the deal. And now here we are yelling at their president in our Oval Office, being piles of shit and allowing chaos to continue to reign while people die and kids are being kidnapped and stolen. In Israel, the same way. I'm tired of watching people die and people struggle. I think as an administration, we need to put pressure on Netanyahu and make sure that they are living up to the deal that was cast, and making sure that we are putting, if we're sending things aid to them, that we have restrictions on that aid to make sure that it's not being used against women and children. Like, there's ways that we can do as an administration and mechanisms in place that we can actually do to make sure that we're not seeing that, especially from American side. But the problem is, we have an administration that seems to be all for killing everybody and violence and blood, and then they want to get mad because they didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. In Venezuela, I think it's insane. We're watching them steal oil. We're watching murders. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth seem to be serial killers right now. They're all about bodies than they are about what I think most of us don't even know what's really fully going on there, because there's no transparency. It's all just, well, this is what we saw, this is what we're hearing from this administration. A lot of people don't even know what necessarily is going on, and I think that's where you bring in the oversight. You bring in the people to make sure that they're held accountable and understand what is actually going on, and letting the American people know exactly what's going on. I'm somebody that went to Iraq 3 times based on a lie, right? That there was weapons of mass destruction and all this crazy shit. That I'm not for that, and I think we need to do better as Americans. We need to do better as administration to put pressure on the allies that we have to make sure we're not watching this world continue to burn, instead of sitting on the sidelines, like I said earlier, throwing snowballs from the cheap seats, because that's what it seems like we have right now, because we have people in power that are okay with murder and blood and death and killing because it doesn't affect them.
With China ramping up both their military activity and their aggression towards neighboring states, and Iowan just flagrantly taking Taiwan as Putin has taken part of Ukraine. What could you do in the Senate to help craft policy that would either serve to deter or to mitigate the aggression we've seen from them?
That's an interesting problem, because I think one thing that we've seen across the board for China is becoming more self-sustaining of China, as America has kind of trying to catch up. One thing that I feel like we are losing in is research, both technological and military and medical and all these other facets, because we've kind of put a ban on a lot of the research recently that we've had. I think they are gaining while we're subtracting, because we're interfighting and we're divided and we're not fighting for. What I would love to see as a policy standpoint is obviously America first. I think that's one thing that we have seen, is making sure that we're taking care of Americans first. But at the end of the day, putting pressure on China, especially, I'll be honest, Donald Trump, when it comes to tariffs, right? Everybody says tariffs bad. Tariffs are a tool. tariffs are a tool that, if used properly, can go a long way for good. The problem is they're using a screwdriver when you need a sledgehammer, or vice versa. I think trade policy, real trade policy, not chaotic light switch policy that we've seen with these tariffs, is the first key to there, to make sure that we have proper trade so we're not getting screwed over, but also not bowing down to China or being scared to stand up to China in regards to military force, in regards to showing that we have that strength, because we do have that strength as the United States military. And I think that's where we need to make sure that people know that we have the capabilities to do the things that we need to do, but we don't necessarily need to be killing innocents to prove that. And I think when it comes to China, trade is the first option to make sure we're controlling and giving real opportunities for our farmers, real opportunities for Americans to make money and support themselves. I like to look at America first, inward, and then look outward to China. But in regards to China, I think it's trying to slow down what we've seen of them is going to be extremely hard. We need to start working on and researching and doing the things from an internal standpoint to catch back up.
We had a comment in the chat from Des on China kicking our ass on soft power, and it is pretty ridiculous. I was in East Africa last year in August, and in Kenya, in particular, there was a point where we're moving along, and we asked. It was kind of a weird design because there was a road in the middle of two other roads. And we asked what that was about, and we were told by our guide that it's a highway that the Chinese have built for Chinese to use while they're there. Everybody else can pay to go on it, or most people can't afford it. They just use the regular two highways on either side of it.
Yeah.
But it was telling that wherever we went, there were major infrastructure projects, and immediately the guy could tell us that was from China, that was from China. China paid for this, China built that. And it's not just in Kenya, it's all over the place.
And I think when it comes to that, like I remember I was in college and they were talking about Chinese corporations buying up TV stations in Africa to make sure they're spreading their message and getting their information out. That's I mean, that to me is I like to rip it all the way back, is like, look at America, right? And look at our infrastructure and look at the problems that we have here in America. We've gotten so far behind the 8 ball with the interfighting and the division that we've seen that we can't even get basic things done for our people, because we care more about making sure the billionaires in our country are taken care of than the people are. I think across the board, Americans can be more developed into technology and more developed into construction and more developed into the jobs we need to succeed. But again, we care more about in this country about DEI and what that's going to cause people than actually just getting to a point where we're like, hey, we're all on the same goal together. And that is the biggest problem, is we have this division where we're not looking ahead to the future. We're just fighting about the bullshit in between. And we need to start coming together as a people, face our problems, and move forward with real productive issues and real productive things. And if that means helping out to build the schools that we need in Iraq that we saw when we were there in Iraq, and or doing the things we do to make sure that we are technologically advancing, but also showing that we are this force that we are in the world, then we need to do that. But to get there, we have to stop the inner fighting, the inner division. We need proper representation, and not this lying bullshit that we continue to see without transparency.
Absolutely. So, speaking of infrastructure, what do you feel is the priority in the U.S. as far as federal funding for infrastructure? Obviously, Iowa and Pennsylvania are going to have very different needs as far as their local and state funding, but I'm curious where you stand as far as the federal priorities.
I think when it comes to it, I don't know that what their priorities are necessarily right now. I know in Iowa we have a really bad bridge crisis. I believe that we're in the top one or two states for the worst, maybe the top one for the worst bridges across this country. So I'd like to see, obviously in Knoxville, they had the mile-long bridge fixed. I'd love to see that infrastructure be put back in place and make sure that we're developing it. But the big thing that I'd love to see our government and our society work on is high-speed rail. I think high-speed rail across this country, getting goods from one to the other would immensely fast. And what we've seen in China and in Japan has been successful, but we just don't have the capabilities to do that right now, because we're worried more about this craziness than we are about coming together and going, hey, this is for the betterment of society. Like, I love the idea of going to the moon. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's like, yeah, well, let's go to the moon, right? Love that thought process. That's cool. I want to be explorer. But right here on Earth, we need to take care of ourselves, and I think high-speed rail is the future. And I think that I'd like to see more opportunities in regards to that, because we have the rail system now. We're just enhancing it and making it work for people. I think that's the first step.
We had a guest about a month and a half, 2 months ago, who was talking about that, and his idea was, because of all the legal hoops that people have to go through with regards to, property, and every state and county and city has to get its cut. The easiest way to do it is to just build it above the interstate system. And whilst you're at it, put your solar panels there too.
That's interesting.
Solar power, because the interstate system belongs to the federal government.
Yep.
Or, to the country. So
that is interesting. I'd love to learn more about the practicality of that. I wonder how that would work in like that cover over the interstate in a winter storm. It'd be nice because you wouldn't have to maybe spend as much on plows because it'd be covered a little bit, maybe.
That was a good point.
Right? Like, that'd be interesting. Learn more about that. I think across the board, you could go, if it's up, you can go. It doesn't have to just be above the interstates. You can go other, but also just looking at the railway systems we have in this country right now that are not used to their capabilities, and starting there would probably be a good start. But I never heard that. That'd be interesting to learn more about.
I think we had an awkward pause just for that moment there, Big Sarge. I think we saw that motion.
That was timing.
That was beautiful timing there.
So, as far as trucking goes, I mean, if you have high-speed rail, and I realize that there are going to be truckers who are going to be like, oh, just fuck with my job, but not really. It's got to get off the train and go somewhere local.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you look at high-speed rail, I think it's like you're not putting everything on high-speed rail, right? Like, you're not doing all of that.
Right.
I think it's just a way to get things quicker. I think trucks are still, obviously, like you said, still very much needed. And hey, if you have something over the top of you and blocking the snow and the weather, it might be a little bit easier for you to drive as well. But again, I got to learn more about that whole aspect before I say that's what I'm for,
Certainly like the idea, and it's a cool concept.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the interstate system, I-80 in Iowa is, deadly. We saw this last weekend when we had the snow, we had a pileup that shut down Interstate 80. It's horrible what we're seeing, and truckers just trying to get goods are intermingling with cars, and that's where you get the deaths and the problems that we have. And if we can find out a solution to that problem, that'd be great. And if that's something we can do, then hell yeah. But I think, again, it's all about, and those would create jobs. A railway system like that would create a lot of jobs, a lot of union jobs, and I think that's the key for us is we want good paying union jobs to make sure that our people in this country are paid properly and taken care of. So, I'll be all for it if I can see the practicality of it.
I like it. Gentlemen, I've been manipulating. I've been maximizing this conversation and kind of dominating it here. If you think I'm cutting you guys off from being able to ask your questions.
It's all good.
Okay.
That's why I like having you on the stream, because you come up with like the best questions. I'm like, what'd you have for breakfast? And Matt's like, tell us what your theory is on.
The man's running for office. People are going to want to know where he's.
I was excited when you guys started because of the music, and everybody always asks me about my favorite music, so I like to talk about that a lot because I'm a huge music listener. That and sports, I can talk about sports all day long.
Yeah, I can too, and that's why I have a short leash on that. Otherwise, it's Matt talks sports with the guest for 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
I am also a metalhead. Why that track exists.
Yeah, what's your favorite band?
It's probably easier to ask me who is not my favorite band. And that answer is like Nickelback and Five Finger Death Punch, which is the Nickelback of metal. I can go on and on.
Thank you for saying that.
Classic Fear Factory.
Fear Factory, yeah.
Not a fan of Dino. Fucking basically ruined the band twice.
Yeah.
Mushroom Head will always be a favorite. I realize you're from Iowa, and I have to say Slipknot to appease Iowans, but
you don't appease me. It's okay.
Mushroom Head Slipknot is a good band. I don't get into the whole.
I love Mushroom Head too. I like Mushroom Head a lot.
Mushroom Head, but Mushroom Head was there for me in the that first decade after 9/11. Mushroom Head had so much good music that just fired me up. And then when I was at practically some of the worst times in my life, Solitaire Unraveling. It starts off with that weird little grinder music, like the music box, and then all of a sudden it's just like this slow chugging thing, and you're like, okay, all right, and you know what's coming because you've listened to the song a billion times. When they play that shit live, the whole, just the pit that erupts from that thing, everybody's having a good time. Oh, Mushroom Head. Fucking Solitaire Unraveling is the track.
Have you ever listened to
other ones, but
have you ever listened to American Head Charge?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of times, yeah.
So there to me is one of the most, they're not well known. That music, when you talk about dark times, that music for me was just something I would dive into, something I loved a lot. Obviously for me, I tell everybody when I was you mentioned Slipknot. For me, when I was in Iraq in 2004, because they were taking down Fallujah with the Palatins, and then we were sending people or Marines in. The Palatins and the Howitzers were on TQ where I was at. And so the only way you could sleep without knowing outgoing, ingoing, I just throw headphones on and blast Slipknot's Iowa album to sleep. And everybody thought I was crazy, but to me, it's peaceful at that time, right?
Yeah.
Then also, my music taste also, and in Iraq, that's the first time I had heard Tool. Obviously, I'm a big Tool fan. I had heard them for years, but they came out with on AFN. They had Vicarious and the Pot playing on Jambi on the album on the AFN as well. And I remember distinctly, who the hell is this band? In 2006, I was like, I gotta hear that. I gotta listen to more Tool, and then took off from there. But I've always been growing up. It was always Slipknot, it was Cold Chamber, it was American Head Charge, it was, I'm a huge System of a Down fan, but they're not necessarily metal. I love As I Lay Dying, I love Devil Driver, I love all of that as well.
As I Lay Dying, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, it's just I tell everybody, it's not about the rage necessarily for me. It kind of actually calms me down, and I just jam to it.
So there's a meme out there, and it's basically it's not as well known anymore, but it was pretty big some years back. And it's basically a guy at a show, and it's all the camera's almost always from on stage somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's on stage, he's the singer, he's jacked, and it's some music that doesn't fit the scene. It'll be some slow, soft music, and he's up there windmilling and like the heavy metal version of ska dancing. He's up there skanking and shit. That band is actually called Harm's Way, and they have a couple of albums, and they are phenomenal. So I'm gonna pimp Harm's Way. I'm gonna pimp this band called ISIS.
Yeah, I think I've heard
their
ISIS.
Facebook is now ISIS the band, because even though the band is defunct, 10 years ago they were getting hate on social media. Violent System is another one.
Yeah.
And there was a band called Johari. I don't think it exists anymore because everybody but the singer left Johari and went and formed another band called Cruel Queen. And they're in Kentucky, and these guys are amazing musicians. They're technically gifted, but they have their shit together, and they're just so good.
Yeah.
So check out Cruel Queen.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Any number of Ozfests from 2000 to 2005.
Yeah.
If I were not deployed, I would go to Ozfest religiously. I would go if I were off deployment and Ozfest was not in my hometown. I would go find it somewhere.
Yeah.
It was such a great experience for me.
Never gone to Ozfest. I'll say I have interesting concerts I've been to. The one that I tell everybody is cool, but was the worst concert was not because of the band. I saw Blue Oyster Cult when I was a freshman in high school at the Surf Ballroom in Mason City, and I did it with a concussion. So I was playing baseball that day, and I got hit and knocked out at third base. Went to the hospital. They told me I had a mild concussion. Told me to go home, watch my breathing. He can rest, but if he sleeps, just watch his breathing. Tell my mom. And my friend, who's a stand-up comedian now, came over, running over. He's like, I got tickets to Blue Oyster Cult and Surf Ballroom. You got to go. And I was like, I can't go. I got a concussion. He goes to my mom. My mom goes, well, if he wants to go. So I went just because my buddies were. And all I remember from that concert was the ear-piercing guitar solo and a guy with a mullet just getting it in the front row.
I met Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah. Best concert, honestly, the best. I've been to a lot of concerts. A lot of concerts. And I think the best that I can say that is most underrated, people don't even know about, I saw Head PE, Head Planet Earth, in a small venue in Minneapolis when I was 17 years old. I was front row for that. And it was, just insane how everybody was into it. So I think that was, Tool's amazing. Slipknot's amazing at the Iowa State Fair. I've seen that but that small venue and that small moment in time was just something I'll never forget.
Isn't Head PE
First Avenue
the band
or
that
First
has
Street?
like two guys?
Head PE, what?
Isn't Head PE the band that has just like two guys?
No, there's like four. There's like four guys in there. There's one. The main singer is like a 6'4", 6'5" tall black guy who had white. He had white contacts in his eyes when he came out.
Okay.
It was during the Jägermeister music tour, and they had this guy before they got on drilling his nose with a drill. He's like tattooed and has horns.
Jesus Christ!
Freak show thing. Yeah, I was front row for watching that happen too. So.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I can't remember where it was in Minneapolis. Like I said, my buddy took me. I was 17 years old, but it was somewhere downtown. I remember that. Being with the big.
But there's a really great alternative club that used to be in First Avenue, the place where they filmed Purple Rain. It was a side entrance, and there would be some really obscure underground bands that would play there.
Yeah, Minneapolis is a cool place, especially in the summertime, not in the wintertime.
It's true.
So I'm gonna have to get down to Atlanta with Doug and do some music recording.
Absolutely. Bet Doug's gonna be sorry he missed this show.
I don't actually know what kind of music Doug listens to be honest with you. And it could be literally anything. I have no idea. It's never come up in conversation. I feel like we have to find that out. I know he plays drums and he teaches drums and he plays in like at least one rock band, but I don't know like what he personally plugs in when he's just doing his thing.
It's gonna be like yacht rock, just completely blow away from what you expect from knowing him versus his music taste.
It's like, oh yeah, I like some Captain and Neil.
I was actually working as a rock DJ in Kansas at 101.5 K Rock my last year in college when the Super Bowl, when Coldplay was going to perform. And I remember distinctly being on air being like, don't miss Coldplay. Like, And music's always been a big part of my life. That's why, I love listening, jamming out to it. It's my therapy, basically, is just put the music. I like to hear it in my chest. You got to feel it. You got to, really enjoy it. And that's what I've been this way my whole life. So,
music's always how I manage to get through the day, especially, with ADHD. It helps me stay focused on what I was supposed to be doing and not like, hey, what if dogs had paragliding?
That's a whole podcast by itself.
Yeah. As the dog casually looks over me like, the fuck you say? Yeah, you. He has no idea. As the Amazon box with a wingsuit for the dog shows up or something.
Terrified.
Yeah. Can't get him to wear a life jacket to go swimming with a nice big shark fin on the back.
Yeah,
that's the wingsuit training happening.
I have an English pointer that went in 2011 or 2012. I was at my mom's house for Christmas. So I mean, I was like, yeah, we got a dog, will bark, whatever. My mom came around the side of her house, and I've never heard my dog scream that loud because it scared her. Like it was like Dottie's just like that. She's just a gun shy, scared animal. So.
Yeah, as you could hear earlier, mine has he's 3. He's finally kind of come into his German Shepherd full bark. Oh my God, deafening air raid siren version of that bark that he'll let out at any given time because someone went to their car in their driveway or something like other capital offense like that.
Yeah.
There's no missing something went on. That dog will let you know.
Yeah.
Have a dog currently, or?
Yeah, I have an English pointer, like I said, and then I have a cat too. But we had my wife's dog, our dog that we've had since 2015. She passed away this last summer, so it was a tough time for us, especially with being on the road and everything. So
yeah, imagine.
She was the best dog we ever had. Her name was Daisy, little mutt Chihuahua, something else mixed. So little black dog, best dog we ever had. She could jump on 2 ends and clap her hands and. He's a great dog.
There is no dog in this world fiercer than a Chihuahua.
Yeah,
I have learned firsthand.
Right. Yeah, Daisy was quiet. Daisy was she'd go on your lap. She'd sit there and she would chill. She was a great, best dog ever, like by far the best dog I've ever had. So it was hard this last summer. So, any other random questions you got for me?
Well. This is where we throw it to Admin X. Obviously.
How about the VA? If you're going to put me on the spot, the first thing I can think of is the VA. I don't get to use them a whole lot.
You want to get me riled up? I'll talk about the VA a little bit, right? Like for one,
go for it.
For one, that's the biggest hit that I always would take at Joni Ernst because Joni is a military veteran. She was also on Doge, and she was okay with, at the time, 80,000 VA jobs going away. Yep. Now I believe it's around 35,000 jobs going away. And I always used to say this, and this is the truth, and we all know this, is we all got taught, never leave a fallen comrade, never leave a man behind. Like that's rule, like number one, you get taught. And if you are okay with 80,000 or 30,000 VA jobs going away, going back to below 2019 numbers, you are then okay with leaving a lot of people behind. And for me, I don't understand how you justify saying that the VA is not doing enough, but then all of a sudden we're going to cut jobs in the name of efficiency. Yeah, that don't make any sense to me. And so for me, I got my help from my PTSD with cognitive behavioral therapy through telehealth. That's one thing that I did when I was down in Kansas. And they've taken a lot of the telehealth stuff away. And I think that's insane, especially in the world we're living in. Like everybody can't get to where they need to be seen and helped. Yep. And you want to help anybody anywhere you can, anytime you can. I think telehealth is definitely something we need to do. And we should be putting more workers. I had a conversation with a donor, the guy that was talking to me about when I was raising money. He was like, it doesn't make any sense. Like these workers that are the VA, they're some of the best workers. When veterans go there and they get the treatment they actually want or are treated the way they're supposed to be treated, they become like family members. And I think we should be more of that opportunities, good paying jobs, better opportunities. Make the VA the standard for healthcare instead of treating it and throwing it underneath the bushes or whatever it is and acting like it's not there. I think treat it, put money into it, treat it the way it needs to be treated, and make sure that the people that were willing to put their life on the line for this country are treated with respect and dignity and treated with the help that they need for the rest of their lives. Doesn't make any sense any other way. And the idea of ripping it away or destroying, getting rid of these jobs or whatever it is, tells me that you're not here to help people. You're here to help the corporations and billionaires and the people that are making more money and can't privatize it to make money off it. That's what they want to do.
Yep. That's something that sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go for it, man. I'll go next.
I was going to say it's something that categorically the pumpkin pedophile has not understood is that when gentlemen like yourselves, now I'm the token civilian up here, but when gentlemen like yourselves signed up to serve this country, you were agreeing to potentially put your lives on the line. That's a contract with this country that we owe to our veterans. That if you've suffered injuries from your service, that you have conditions and things that need to be treated, it is unconscionable to me that the United States would not provide the care and service necessary for all those who have taken up the flag and served. It doesn't make sense to me that would be any other way, but it's something that the other side is just like, no.
And they're the ones that are throwing that in your face of the American flag, and we're patriots, and we care about our service members, and we're here to serve them. Oh, by the way, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah. That's what we're fucking seeing, and that is the shit that makes me really pissed off. Is that it's because, again, it's all about how can we fool these people into voting for us. Yeah. How can we make sure that we are showing this side, but actually doing this one? That's what we've been experiencing for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, is this continuous bullshit. And it all starts with electing working class candidates to represent us, veterans that know what it's like to go to the VA and deal with the VA. One thing I always talk about when I had PRK eye surgery when I was in the Army, and I have glasses now as well. And one of the things I was going to go back when we launched, I was like, hey, I want to go get new glasses. And I went into the VA to go schedule my appointment. I'm like, well, the first we can get you in is April. First we can get you in is July 18th. And I was like, wow, that's pretty far out there. And that's not in a normalcy like that. But that also is a reflection on, we need more people. We need more workers. We need more proper staffing at these VA. So we don't have the wait lines, and we don't have the long wait periods. And again, it goes back to making sure that we have proper representation, that know what it's like to go to war, know what it's like to live in a world where nobody's wanted you and you're lied to and left behind. And that's who I am, a working class candidate, willing to fight for you, willing to stand up for you, and willing to actually lead when we need leadership.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say here a moment ago, have you guys seen the you got it, Tim, or do you mind if I go for a second?
Yeah, go.
Cool. There have been a lot of test balloons coming out of the Heritage Foundation. I saw that it was in the Washington Post probably 2 or 3 months back. They're trying to paint the picture that those of us that are actually using our benefits are somehow entitled and that we're grossly overpaid. I think there was even that point when Hegseth said that he could have 50% disability, but he's got too much honor, pride to do such a thing. And I was thinking, motherfucker, you earn $2.5 million a year from Fox. Of course, you don't need 50%. I mean, what is that? $1,100 a month or something? That's pocket change to a guy like that.
I think the way I look at it, the thing that drives me, I think I saw a video on this as well, is service related, right? Like that's the way they try to get you. It's like, do you understand that every single thing that I was going through from when I left for boot camp to when I got out of that is service related. So if I got a headache, it was service related. If I had anything, and that's the way it should be treated as such. If I'm dealing with issues, my time in service or whatever, like, or if there's I have a sore shoulder from my time, doing combatives and whatever it is, and then I don't claim it. Eventually, it gets to the point where I'm having a lot of problem with it. That's still service related. We shouldn't be having to jump through hoops just to be taken care of when we need the help. And when we sign the dotted line and we're willing to put our life on the line. I mean, that's the contract. You mentioned it earlier. That is the deal. And I make 30% for my PTSD. That's it. I've been denied for my knees. I've been denied for headaches. I've been denied for everything. And they're like, well, you need to keep applying. You need to keep applying. You need to keep applying. And I haven't, because I haven't had time, one. And two, it's insane that you have to keep asking. It's like begging people for the help that you are entitled to. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know there's millions of service members across the country that are in the exact same scenario. And it's insane. And it all continues to boil back down to, there's no money in for it helping people. There's money in it for people that need help, but not for helping people. And the only reason that we have what we have in this country and are where we are today is because of the people that were willing to put their lives on the line for this country. And they should be treated as such, and it shouldn't be a game.
100% agree.
Fucking A.
Big Sarge also gives his support.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, the VA has needed to be fixed for fucking decades.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernie Sanders was secretary of the VA and he couldn't fix it. So
Yeah.
it's something that definitely needs to happen, but I don't know. I think the first thing is that we need to figure out what's going on with like the reason why we can't get rid of government employees. I realize that some employees you don't need to get rid of, like, you know, there needs to be protections for that, you know, political persecutions. But when you absolutely suck at your job, and that's one of the things that we hear about the VA is that a lot of these employees that are there don't need to be there. And I realize that we just got rid of like 85,000 VA employees, but that was, again, you know, some political bullshit and trying to downsize it. Fortunately, I think that Heritage Foundation is about to become irrelevant. Mike Pence is taking a lot of their people because those people are tired of the weird, divisive, crazy shit that Heritage Foundation comes up with. And people are starting to see that the writing is on the wall for Heritage Foundation and the administration. But those people are still alive. Not that they should not be, but they're still alive. They still exist. They still have influence. They still have money. So at some point, we're going to see these fuckers again. They're going to worm their way into other places. And so before we even try to deal with, you know, the VA and other problems, I think that there needs to be accountability for the people that helped to get us into the situation that we're in now. Have they committed crimes? If so, we should fully investigate them and then render them inert in a way that they, you know, go pay for their crimes and they can't be fucking meddling in shit. And at the same time, because we can concentrate on more than one thing at once, put wheels into motion with restoring balance, the checks and balances, and making sure that this type of shit never fucking happens again. Because we had the opportunity after the American Civil War, and we're like, oh, we just need to get the country back together. But then slave-owning oligarchs were like, well, if I can't own black people, I may as well get involved in politics and make it so that I can own black prisoners.
Yeah.
We didn't learn our lesson. This time, we haven't had shots fired, you know, not like a grand scale, but we need to make sure that people pay.
I like to look at it as transparency and accountability. That's what government should always be. Transparent as can be. You're of the people, for the people. That's what you should be, in front of the people as well, and letting them see everything. So I agree on that aspect of making sure we have transparency and accountability. And I'm always on the side of workers to make sure that we have the right amount of workers, the right amount of people fighting for us, the right amount of people trying to make it in this world. But I do, gentlemen, have to jump off here. I got to say goodbye to you. I appreciate you guys getting me on. I got to jump on another call, but I appreciate you guys allowing me to be here. Any other questions before I jump off?
Oh no,
we about to go on Richard Ojeda show.
What was that?
Are you about to go hit up Richard Ojeda?
Yeah, no. I got another call I got to make, but I appreciate you guys all letting me be on here, and gotta always give a shout out to Rachel for giving you guys my information and those questions to try and throw me under the bus on. But
I'm gonna see if I can link you up with Richard Ojeda. He's a retired Army major.
Okay.
He's a ball of energy.
Okay.
And I think it would be awesome for you to be on his live stream as well.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys all letting me be on here and being part of this. So thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much for your service. Thank you for running for office. And thank you for your time tonight with us.
Appreciate you guys. You guys have a good one.
You too.
You too.
Well, sir.
I am also going to get off so that I can go do other things.
Oh, I'll bet.
Everybody can check out Richard Ojeda's live stream. I'm not being paid to promote it. I just realized that he streams at like 8:30. So
he does.
Y'all get his comments and tell him that Big Sarge sent you. 2 claps and a Rick.
Woo!